The first sign that something had gone wrong was not a fleet mobilizing or a planet burning. It was the silence. At 03:17 Coordinated Orbital Time, every deep-range telescope pointed beyond the Sol system went dark, not damaged, not scrambled, not destroyed. They simply stopped receiving anything beyond the heliopause. No cosmic background radiation fluctuations. No distant pulsar rhythms. No whisper of interstellar traffic. Just a perfect, artificial absence. Dr. Mara Ionescu was awake when it happened. She'd been reviewing another transmission from the Cathari Ascendancy, polite, restrained, and immovable in its demand that Earth accept temporary administrative oversight following humanity's refusal to comply with expansion quotas and resource redistribution mandates. Temporary. The word had made her stomach tight. The Cathari didn't invade with fleets. They audited civilizations into submission. When the observatory screens blinked into static gray, Mara assumed equipment failure. When the backup arrays returned the same result, she assumed cyber attack. When the neutrino detectors also flatlined, she stopped assuming. "Tell me this is local interference," she said. Across the room, her assistant Daniel Cho stared at the cascading diagnostics. He was too young for the exhaustion in his eyes. "It's not interference," he whispered. "It's subtraction, subtraction." The word lingered between them like smoke. Something had removed the galaxy. 3 hours later, the Cathari envoy ship entered Earth orbit. It did not power weapons. It did not issue threats. It simply transmitted one message across every frequency. "You have destabilized containment. Immediate compliance is now required." Containment. Mara replayed the word over and over. The Cathari had never used that term in negotiations before. What containment? She demanded during the emergency summit. The Cathari envoy, a tall, glass-limbed being whose internal bioluminescence pulsed in cool blues, regarded her through the hollow projection. "You were instructed not to exceed the proliferation boundary," it said evenly. "You were instructed not to test high-density vacuum resonance beyond calibrated thresholds." Daniel leaned toward Mara. "They mean the Horizon Drive experiments." Her chest tightened. Humanity's first faster-than-light breakthrough hadn't bent space. It had resonated with it. And 2 weeks ago, against Cathari advisement, Earth had tested the prototype at full power. "You told us the boundary was political," Mara said slowly. "A territorial agreement." "It was structural," the envoy replied, and then the projection flickered. For a fraction of a second, the Cathari's composure broke. Its internal light spiked violently. "You have torn the veil." The transmission cut. No explanation, no ultimatum, just that. "You have torn the veil." Within 12 hours, the silence beyond the heliopause deepened. Probes sent toward the boundary did not lose signal. They returned no signal. They simply vanished from instrumentation as though the mathematics describing their position had been erased. Mara refused to sleep. The Cathari fleet gathered at the edge of the system, not in attack formation, but in something that looked disturbingly like retreat. Daniel noticed it first. "They're repositioning away from us." "Preparing containment," Mara said, but she didn't believe it, because the deep space monitors had begun detecting something else. Not from outside, from within. Tiny fluctuations in gravitational curvature around Earth itself. Micro-distortions that shouldn't exist. Patterns that pulsed like a heartbeat, slow, patient, deliberate. The Cathari had warned them about resonance thresholds. They had not warned them what might resonate back. 3 days after the telescopes went dark, the first civilian reports began. People waking at 3:17 a.m., convinced someone was standing just outside their field of vision. Audio recordings capturing low-frequency hums with no source. Migratory animals changing directions simultaneously across continents. Mara hated coincidences. By the 5th day, the Cathari envoy returned. Its bioluminescence flickered erratically now, tinged with unfamiliar crimson. "You must deactivate your resonance core immediately," it said. "Your species has amplified its presence across strata not meant to be perceived." "Strata of what?" Mara demanded. The envoy hesitated. For the first time since first contact, it hesitated. "You are not alone in your layer." "Layer," Daniel swallowed. "You're saying there's something overlapping us?" "Yes." "Hostile?" Mara asked. The envoy's light dimmed. "Hungry." The room went still. You told us the proliferation boundary was about territorial stability, Mara said quietly. You never said it was about this. Because most species, the envoy replied, do not attempt to shout into the dark before they understand what hears them. That was the first time Mara felt it, that subtle shift in power. The Cathari weren't angry, they were afraid. And they were afraid because of something humanity had done. What exactly did we wake up? Daniel asked. The envoy's projection fractured again, this time longer. Not wake, it corrected. Attract. The gravitational distortions intensified. Satellites began experiencing micro-failures in synchronized patterns, as if something were tracing orbital paths with invisible fingers. The Cathari attempted containment. They deployed a lattice of quantum dampeners around Earth's outer orbit. They declared a Level 7 quarantine. They cut Earth off from all interstellar trade and communication. Mara watched it happen with a hollow feeling in her chest. We pushed them too far, Daniel murmured. No, she said. We pushed something else too far. Then the first ship disappeared. A Cathari frigate stationed near Mars folded inward, not exploded, not imploded, folded, its structure compressed into a thin line of light and vanished. No debris, no radiation spike, just subtraction. The Cathari response was immediate and illogical. They did not retaliate, they retreated. Half their fleet repositioned beyond Pluto, the other half activated what appeared to be emergency evacuation protocols. You said this was containment, Mara transmitted to the envoy. That didn't look contained. The envoy's glow flickered violently. It is adapting. What is? The answer came slower than any previous response. The substrate intelligence. Mara stared at the projection. You're telling me space itself is alive? No, the envoy said. Not space. The hum in the background recordings grew louder. By the second week, people across Earth reported synchronized dreams. Not identical, but patterned. Endless black horizons, tremors beneath unseen surfaces, a sense of being observed from below, as if reality had depth. Mara tried to remain clinical. Correlation did not equal causation, until Daniel ran the comparative neural scans. The dream activity matches the resonance frequency of the horizon drive pulse, he said, voice shaking. Meaning? Meaning whatever responded to the drive. It's interacting neurologically. The Cathari made their second catastrophic miscalculation then. They concluded humanity was a passive amplifier, a biological antenna unintentionally broadcasting into forbidden layers. Their solution was brutally logical. Silence the antenna. Without warning, the Cathari fleet began powering suppression fields directed at Earth's ionosphere. Mara realized what they were doing seconds before the first wave hit. They weren't attacking cities. They were dampening brainwave frequencies. Daniel collapsed first, then half the control room. Mara felt it like drowning in syrup, her thoughts slowing, compressing. They're trying to knock us unconscious, Daniel gasped. Across the globe, billions of humans fell into forced neural stasis. The hum stopped. The gravitational distortions eased for exactly 12 minutes. Then every suppression array overloaded simultaneously. The Cathari fleet lost 3 ships, not destroyed. Pulled downward, not toward Earth, through it. Their trajectories bent impossibly, curving into the planet's core and vanishing. Mara watched the telemetry with dawning horror. It's not responding to the drive anymore, she whispered. It's responding to us. The substrate intelligence had not been attracted to energy. It had been attracted to consciousness. And when the Cathari tried to silence humanity, it reacted, violently. The Cathari envoy reappeared, its light now unstable, almost frantic. You are acting as a catalyst, it said. Your neural density, your emotional amplitude, it is unprecedented. Mara's voice was hoarse. So this thing is feeding on us. Not feeding, the envoy said. Focusing. The word made less sense than the others. Daniel pulled up historical data from early Cathari exploration records, fragments reluctantly shared after intense pressure. Centuries ago, another civilization had tested resonance technology. They had vanished, not conquered, not destroyed. Erased, the Cathari had sealed the region and imposed the proliferation boundary. We thought the boundary was about politics, Daniel whispered. It was about hiding a wound. The second Cathari miscalculation became clear too late. They believed removing humans would remove the stimulus. They began evacuation protocols not for Earth, for themselves. They were going to abandon the system. "You can't just leave," Mara transmitted. "If you remain," the envoy replied, "it will escalate. And if you leave," the envoy's light dimmed to near darkness, "it may follow." That was when Mara understood the true imbalance. The Cathari weren't trying to control humanity, they were trying to survive it. The substrate distortions intensified as evacuation ships powered up, and then something impossible happened. The distortions synchronized, not randomly, not chaotically. They pulsed in rhythm with global human neural activity, like a heartbeat aligning with another. Daniel stared at the data pale. "It's not attacking us." "Then what is it doing?" Mara asked. He looked at her, eyes wide with a realization that felt like stepping off a cliff. "It's mirroring." The synchronized dreams changed. No longer endless black. Now there were shapes, not monstrous, not benign, indistinct, watching, learning. And when the first Cathari evacuation carrier attempted to jump to FTL, the entire resonance field spiked. The carrier froze mid-transition, half-phased into non-space. Then it reappeared gently back in orbit, released, not destroyed, prevented. Mara felt something colder than fear. "It doesn't want them to leave." The Cathari envoy flickered. "It is containing us." Silence fell between them. Humanity had torn the veil. The galaxy had assumed Earth was the reckless variable. But as gravitational pulses deepened and the substrate intelligence's presence expanded, a worse possibility emerged. Earth hadn't been shouting into the dark. The dark had been listening for something like Earth. And now that it had found it, the galaxy was trapped in the same room, with humanity at the center, and something vast, patient, and newly awake leaning closer.